So, before we talk about career, institutions, or leadership, I want to go back a bit.
British ruled us and segregated a lot of wealth from our nation.
Nowadays, students consume the fastest content.
Like I told you, reading books is going away. We have to choose between what is ethical AI or ethical data science and which is not ethical.
So, before we talk about career, institutions, or leadership, I want to go back a bit.
British ruled us and segregated a lot of wealth from our nation.
Nowadays, students consume the fastest content.
Like I told you, reading books is going away. We have to choose between what is ethical AI or ethical data science and which is not ethical.
Today's conversation is about education, not just in terms of institutions and degrees, but as a system that shapes opportunity, economic outcomes, and long term societal change. Our guest today, Dr. Samrat Ray, has spent his career deeply engaged with education at both the academic and institutional level. Dr. Ray holds advanced academic qualifications, including a doctorate, and has been associated with higher education and management education across India, along with exposure to global academic frameworks. Over the years, his work has gone beyond classrooms, engaging with institution building, policy level thinking, and questions around how education connects with employability, economic development, sustainability, and emerging technologies. What makes his perspective especially relevant today is his ability to control and connect formal education, real world outcomes, and future skill needs. Rather than viewing them as separate conversations, this discussion is not about rankings or surface level trends. It's about understanding how education system actually works, where India stands globally, and what students and institutions need to rethink going forward. So, welcome to the podcast, Dr. Samrat Ray. And I would like to know the phase, how it all started for you.
Thank you very much for having me here. Uh, I would take it as a humble opportunity, to explore the phases of my life, till I had landed up in Pune. So it's a long time. Like, I started my life within a dream, my aspirations are very aligned to sustainable development goals of World Bank, mainly poverty reduction. Many economists, I'm also an economist, so many economists, they actually falter in, for the past 100 years they have been working on economics and all these things, but it's very difficult to understand poverty, how poverty is dealt. So I started my life among, in a marginalized society, a very aspirational district in Calcutta. My mother was a banker, and I grew up in a middle class family. And thereafter, as a proper aspirational Bengali, middle class Bengali, we had dreams of being a doctor or engineer. But I took a different beat. I started my career as a journalist with Statesman, and then I worked for Hindustan Times, Indian Express, and life took a turn. I went abroad. I had a dream of bringing some smiles to the marginalized society, the poverty eradication. I went to some elite B schools and universities in Europe, Russia, Middle East, and thereafter, taking the required knowledge, working with prime scientists all over the world. I came back to India and I wanted to give back to the nation, and I started my career in Pune. I was working as a director of international relations and bringing in, working alongside international researchers, universities in US and Russia to do some productive work on sustainable development goals. Not much has been done. So that, like the poverty, like, health, education, which are very much basic, for us, country like India. We talk about Viksit Bharat 2047. I'm very much in fond of this word Vikshit Bharat. Why not Vikashit? Are we really working towards bringing, solution to the main flora and fauna of the Indian society, that is the marginalized, the poor. So unless and until we work towards improvement of agriculture, improvement of the bottom of the pyramid, the Viksit Bharat agenda will not be fulfilled. So currently, actually, I'm working alongside scientists, from University of South Florida in USA, where we are working on implementation of digital transformation on poverty eradication. We are studying the patterns of poverty and how poor people react, the psychology behind how the farmers, the rural population react, the patterns, and we are trying to bring in some models, business models, which can be implied for their daily life.
Perfect. So you have mentioned a lot of phases in your life, and what I can see is that you have done a lot and you have a lot yet to do more for the society, for the nation. I would like to understand what exactly you do right now and what is your main focus.
Currently, I was working with one of the universities in Pune as Dean School of Management. But due to my research focus, a lot of research work is pending, which I do with US university, top US universities and Russian universities. So I'm doing this research basically on how data science is implied on the marginalized society, especially the poverty eradication. Last month, I was speaking at the Business World Summit in Bombay, and I got an award there also as a young data scientist of the year. So I was also speaking about, we are talking about a multipolar world where the powerhouse is not only US, but it is development of micro segments all over India, all over the world. So it's very important that we focus this multipolarism towards the core foundation of the society, the problems of the society. Climate change is one which we are facing. A very important phase is the human settlements or the cities, development of urban landscapes. So if you see that now we are talking about development of the exterior of the proper cities like Hyderabad, we see Cyberabad, Bombay is moving to Navi Mumbai. So these places, the because of faultier planning, I would say, these urban settlements is being not properly designed. So it is very important that we design it properly so that India, no, India when it is growing in a proper way.
Right. So, you are a data scientist and you are into education, but you are doing something which is very rare. There are a lot of people who just sit there at such type of positions where you are, and they do not actually take the authority of that position. So, I'm very glad to take this interview today. This has just begun, but it has set a conversation for me, and I'm sure for all the audience who are watching this podcast, it's going to be very insightful. They're going to learn a lot from you. So I want to know, since we are talking about your journey, we are talking about where you started, how it started. As a student, were you a confused one, or you were a confident student? How you were?
On the contrary, I was a topper actually in my school days, and whatever I've studied till now were all on scholarships. So I was a distinction holder for through. So I spent more than 15 years in abroad. I was teaching in European universities. Then my last assignment with one of the top 100 university in the world in Russia, St. Petersburg, where I was a lecturer, and also currently I hold the position of a Russian government scholar, from where I have done my PhD, and also I'm attached with University of South Florida in USA as a senior researcher. So my journey actually spans a very global outlook, and this outlook I want to actually leverage it for India's growth story, because according to the national education policy of government of India, a lot of thrust has been given on internationalization, and a lot of, if you know that a lot of international colleges and universities are setting up their campuses in India. If you speak about Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, there is a special zone for educational institutes where UK, US universities are setting up campuses in Gift City in Gujarat. So, as a global academician who have spent more than 20 years in abroad, it is a very right time to come back to India and to, provide solution. Not only solution at the blue collar level or a white collar level, but provide solution at the main thrust area in India, that is poverty. We cannot ignore the uh, transition, digital transformation. At the same time, we cannot ignore the fact that we are not a very rich country, right? We are a poor country. So because our 80% of the population are agricultural based, so we have to put our thrust on MSMEs, build, because I am not very much actually for. I was also working for the skill development industry in Bombay. I was a director in MIDC project. So I have worked with these people in different regions. We had different schools, colleges in different regions of Maharashtra, like Aurangabad, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, Pune, then Nagpur, Nasik, and all these regions. So we have seen that there is a lot of interest from the marginalized society to gain skills. Okay, skills which are very much important more than the degrees. Professional degrees. Now companies are looking for skill ready to bridge the gap. Okay, so unless and until we create a proper educational infrastructure, if you see Germany, okay, Germany was very well ahead of the skill transition. In UK also this thing happened 20 30 years ago. In China they realized it, so they put the thrust on manufacturing. So 20 30 years back China did the same thing. So it's the time for India. So India must leverage this opportunity, and there should be an entrepreneurial university network where industry, government, and private sector should collaborate to provide solution for the poor people. Because unless and until they are uplifted, it is very difficult to provide India the platform for Viksit Bharat.
So, you rightly mentioned that students are often confused between skill and a degree. And we will definitely talk about this later in depth. This is a very common confusion which youth has. But as a student, were you clear about your career choices, that you have to focus on these degrees, or you were also confused?
I was not confused, but the society had a different. Because in India, those days, it was a post-liberalization, right? In 1991, when the government liberalized India. Okay, so a lot of foreign companies came in. Before that, I was the so I was growing in a time when the thought process was either you become a doctor or an engineer. That was a that was a feeling of the middle class. So to become an economist or a journalist was like emotional atyachar on the parents, right? So the parents like I mane you will become a journalist, like क्या है उसमें क्या है इतना struggle है. So yeah, obviously, those were not very happy at times, but we saw a very diverse range of writing genius. My mentor was Sam Rajappa, who was a very well-known journalist in Statesman in Calcutta. It is headquartered in Calcutta. So through that, I came in contact with Indian Express, Hindustan Times. Those were the times when the newspaper industry was growing. So I got a flavor of writing. My writing developed. I am basically a person who loves reading books. So I found it a flora in that. But somehow I lost touch because I wanted to grow, and I wanted to had some aspirations which were very bigger. I will not say that I'm a very monetary oriented person, but yeah, I love to contribute and impact the society. So that time I remember I went to Europe, and I was a lecturer, first Indian lecturer. It was in Eastern Europe. Many people doesn't know its name. It's Latvia. So I was first Indian professor there, and I was teaching in one of the universities there. And Then I got an opportunity to work with the government of Dubai, KHDA, and I was one of the advisors to one of the primary schools, Indian high school, Dubai, one of the most famous expatriate school. And then I didn't stop. Actually, I was my thirst was to find to work with top researchers. And I went to Russia. I studied the Russian language. I was a Russian government scholar, and I was one of the Indian scientists also who was in a national impact research in one of the top 100 universities. We are working on poverty eradication, health, education, infrastructure in Russian cities. And so yeah.
Well, very well said. And I was deeply touched with the line when you mentioned that you do not focus on monetary benefits rather than you focus on working towards the society and impact. This is a very rare quality of professors, especially in an era where people just focus on outcome, what they're going to get in terms of monetary benefits.
I wanted to actually just express one thing is that I still believe in that old tradition of master mosai. You have master now. I've heard that term. It's a Bengali term called master mosai, where there is a peculiar relationship between a guru and a shishya. This is getting eroded nowadays because of digital transformation. People are not reading books. Okay, a recent study and research in UK has put it forward that reading habits are totally deteriorating. Now it has now migrated towards e-books, Kindle, and all these things, and people are not liking the because it is removing you from the traditional. Now I as a student used to go to the largest and oldest book market in Calcutta called College Street. So there, it was, the smell of old books and all these things was peculiar. Means that love for books is missing nowadays. So that relationship between guru and shishya is also eroding. So my also one of my aspiration is to bring back to the student community what are the traits of a student, how a student is made. There are few many institutions in India still having that flavor, like JNU. You have Ferguson College. You have other college, Kirori Mal and Delhi and Calcutta University, Jadavpur University, Bombay University, and all these things, SNDT. And so these universities, they are like, I am not actually saying that they are that means that is my aspiration, but they still have that flavor. Like, you should have that flavor of a student, like a debate, charcha, to think little bit different. See, what theory is we are having is not our theory. Our idea is post colonial. It's subaltern. If you have heard about the word subaltern, it's more of a subdued, like, British ruled us and exaggerated a lot of wealth from our nation. What they left with us is that slavery, that thought process we need to change. If we don't change our thought process, Vikshit Bharat and all these things, it doesn't sound that logical, right? Because whatever, we are deprived of a proper communication theory, we are deprived of a proper economic theory for the past 100 years. Do you think we have a communication theory or a journalistic theory of us? We replicate what is being practiced in US or Europe, right? What we have is not ours. We have to understand that. So our duty, students duty, to develop and think differently, to innovate, to bring forward their own thought process, which is Indianized. So it is like a global thought process in an Indian way.
Rightly mentioned. And since you focus on impact and you focus on your role primarily on working towards the nation, what is your current role at Allard School of Business?
So basically, I was the dean, School of Management. So currently, I'm with the US University only. So I do research with the US University. I travel to US very often, and this is one of the top universities in US, University of South Florida. And I do research on data science implications on poverty eradication in Allard and any other institute. I was working for one of the top B schools in Pune, Sai Balaji. So it's in Hinjewadi. I was the director of international relations. So I was interested to bring in foreign collaborations in not only the 360-degree cycle, like from student immersion, student research, faculty developments, in collaboration with foreign professors and universities. So my thought process has always been like that, that not only blindfoldly don't bring foreign knowledge, it Indianize it in India way, because we have many things to teach the foreign abroad. Like we have our economic theories, we have our Vedas, Upanishads, and all these things which we can teach the foreign. Okay, take the good things from the West and adapt it to the Indian way.
Right, and you hold a PhD degree.
Yeah.
So, how your research from the PhD which you have done has shaped your thinking in education and institutions?
See, the thought process behind a PhD is bit different when you do it from the abroad. Unfortunately, we are actually have many barriers and pressure of publishing, of teaching, of taking care of the family. In abroad, there is a particular saying, like if you ask a person in the West, what do you do? He will say, I like to play football. Okay, but here you will ask, they will say, I will be a doctor or something like. So in abroad, research was in our soul, our working culture. So we were doing impactful research in collaborations with industry.
Right. I was deeply touched with this line when you mentioned that in India, especially when people ask you, what do you do? We will say, I am studying, or I am doing a business, or I'm working somewhere. Nobody says that, yeah, I am dancing or I'm playing. This is really a truth about our Indian society.
Right, right. So we have to actually, basically, I will come again back to that. We are having in an era of post-colonial. So our thought process is colonial mindset. Okay, everywhere our institutions, like when we got independence in 1947, India was basically it was a result of famine in Bengal. If you know Bengal famine, there was mass like deaths, and partition was there and all these things. So what happened, there were nearly no industry, no institutions. So when Nehru came, he brought about socialist thought process, a little bit of Gramsci and all these things. But post 91 we got a boost, but post 2014 also we got a greater boost. But unless and until we change our thought process from a subaltern nation towards a Indianized nation, not a copy master, frankly speaking, but to Indianize the way, to not only say that khadi is only India or make in India, but we have to change the way we think. So unless until we and that can be only be done by the youth or the students of our nation. So if you see, like I'm very student friendly faculty in Pune. I was one of the first in Pune to start student publication, and I was also means many students in Pune know me as a master Moshe only. And I have, because unless and until this bonding is there, you cannot bring in that thought process in the students, and students are the growth engines of our nation. So they are the main players. So we have to empower them. They have to not only be a part of CSR, or but they have to be also the voice for the nations.
Absolutely. So, as I can already sense it, that you not only focus on academic part, you joined as a small part of the academics, but you evolved yourself to a leader. How did this transition happen?
See, I will not call myself leader. I'm very humble in that sense that if I can contribute a little bit towards the society, if my message goes like wide towards the student community firstly, and then the policymakers of the nation, that the main funda is to change the thought process. We have to be Indianized. We cannot grow and be a Viksit Bharat with a foreign agenda or a foreign propaganda. So unless and until India has a strong soft power or a hard power, it is very difficult to take India on the global stage. But it's a very critical time when multipolarism is happening. Powerhouse, the post the Soviet Russia collapse, that Berlin Wall, fall of the Berlin Wall, the power was concentrated in the West, in US. But now things are changing. India has a chance. India has a strong government, and I think India should take leverage on it and develop its youth and take this nation ahead.
So, Dr. Ray, Maharashtra and especially Pune is considered as educational hub. How do you honestly assess the quality of B schools here?
It's good, can be better. But frankly speaking, when I landed in Pune hugged me. Very friendly city. It's one of the best weathers here. It's world class institutions are there, and I have been fortunate to work with world class minds in Pune. From Gokhale Institute, Ferguson College. Recently, my book was launched in Pune Book Fair in Ferguson College, and this is the second time I have been in Pune Book Fair. And two times my books have been released. So I have been fortunate to be a part of this western region, and I have been doing some research also on the Maratha power, especially on how Shivaji's leadership traits can be implied on management schools. I have been co-researching with research institutions in Pune, and also leading management schools, one of the top B schools in Pune. And I think Pune has a tremendous amount of potential, unexplored domain. It is Oxford of the East, definitely, but it can be more better. A lot of things can be done for this improvement. Maharashtra is a wonderful city. The people of Pune is wonderful. I aligned to these cities that they are having that flavor of traditionalism, conservative. I love that type of thought process. Who loves to preserve their culture, small but beautiful, and I would love to contribute also to the nation, being a part of Western India, and I think yeah, it's great.
Correct. And the most common question which a student has whenever they complete their 12th standard or 10th standard, they are always confused which institute to choose for their career. Nowadays, that every institute will put their best profile forward in the market, that they have the best placements or they have the best curriculum. But what do you think, as a student, how they can choose the best institute for themselves?
When I usually go through the induction process in a B school, we show the students some movies like Three Idiots. Uh, uh, but now it has become very common. But if you see the thought process, again, I was talking of the thought process. The thought process has changed. Earlier, the middle class society was talking about doctors, engineers, and all these things. Rarely people become economists and all these things. But nowadays, it has been diversified. It's a time of multidisciplinary approach. When you talk about multidisciplinary, is that you talk about digital humanities, you talk about data science, you talk about digital journalism, you can talk about digital economics. Choices are many. So 12, 11, 12 is a very important time in a student's career. It decides on how you will proceed in your future life. So I think students should have a choice to choose their journey, yeah, their future.
Right. And after they have chosen, let's say, the institute of their choice, do you think they are becoming job ready or they are just relying on their degree?
I was speaking in the last 2 years back. We were having a forum in Hyderabad, in Deloitte. So what we saw is that they were put up a very important talk. Is that they were talking about skill development, right? So it's not only about degrees or diplomas. If you see, there are many universities which are coming out around skill hub, like Symbiosis. has started. There are many skill development universities in one is in Tata, I think, Omi Baba Skill University. So these are the universities which are coming around all over the world. So, and especially in India. So the focus is on tapping the skill and also aligning it with the MSME sector. So unless and until MSME is stronger, you cannot, empower the real India, the real youth, the marginalized.
Can you tell me more about what is taught in the skill universities?
Skill universities are basically, the important skills which are required in the market, right? Linked to the MSMEs like CAD, CAM, AI, welding, or the industry ready knowledge base, which are the skills. Skills are actually from the time you take birth to the time you die, all are skills. Whatever you require is a skill. So once you teach them, you directly link it with the industry requirement, right? Rather than a holistic approach of degrees and diplomas, you directly teach them and empower them and put them into the industry, right? So this is a cycle, like, from taking the course to the industry. So a lot like NSDC, Digital India, Skill India, like MIDC. I was working in Bombay in one of the very aspirational project with MIDC. So these are the things which the government is also doing. But now we cannot only rely on government. We also, as a teacher, we should be the voices of the nation. We should put in front of the policymakers, students, that what is needed and what is not. Like I told you, reading books is going away, and many students nowadays read traditional, books. Okay, so we have to bring them back. So we have to choose between what is ethical AI or ethical data science and which is not ethical. So we have to differentiate. It's a world of chaos. Okay, a lot of choices, a lot of options, lot of things are happening. Like people have all the PDF books on the net, so they have a tendency, if you study the psychology, they have a tendency of quickly getting everything. But in a book you cannot get quickly, you have to have that patience. So that's why reading books is going away. People want everything in 1 second. So we have to change that mindset, because that mindset should be changed in a student at the young age. You want a pizza, you order it. Earlier when we were young, like noodles was the staple diet. Going to a restaurant was a very big event, and we used to enjoy that. So to get fun and enjoyment in smaller things is also needed. Small is sometimes beautiful, so that should be taught. The students should get that vibe. And yeah.
Yeah, you rightly mentioned nowadays students consume the fastest content. Maybe
Right.
because of Instagram, they have
Right.
habit of just seeing and consuming the video content
Right.
faster.
Right.
Within a span of 10 seconds, they will consume what they want and what they don't want. If something is not of their interest, probably they'll just scroll immediately.
Right.
And but I think reading a book makes them stay to
Right.
that particular topic or that book or that subject forever. What do you think how not reading a book affects long term thinking or leadership?
See, reading books also has a lot of benefits. I am an old school person. Like, our grandfather, our family setup was wonderful, like in India. Okay, if you see Pune, they still have that type of culture. Still, the joint family, eating together, and all these things. These are many benefits because it will improve your mind power also, right? Getting faster is also very important in a very fast moving world. Insta, Facebook, and LinkedIn, social media, you cannot just denigrate these social media powers. But you have to also understand that we had beautiful things in India. We were a beautiful country, we are a beautiful country. So we have to preserve our heritage, preserve our culture, preserve our tradition. That's why I love Pune, because Pune is a little bit very unique, because it has been successfully stabilizing and saving the aura of Maharashtrians, the Maratha culture, the Maratha power, the Shivaji, the learnings, the Peshwas, and all these things. So it is a center of spiritual risings, cultural behemoth. So there are a lot of things to learn from Pune. There are a lot of things to learn from other parts of India. So take those learnings and go ahead. That's it. But you shouldn't forget the fulcrum of knowledge, books. You shouldn't forget the fulcrum of growth. So, and if you don't instill in the students, who will instill?
Absolutely. And what do you think? What institutions can do to change this habit of students?
I have always been against elite schools, because they have been a center of brainwash and brain drain. You see, an amount of funding goes into IITs, IIMs, in St. Stephen's and all these schools. And what they produce? They produce world class intellectuals, definitely. But most of them, they are fueling the economic growth in US, because after they pass out, they will 80% of them go to US. That has been the tradition. Now also people say, I also may be saying that, but I will like I am not in favor of that, but many people who speak, their sons and students, their children are studying in US. So, what will I say? Is it a hypocritical statement that you love India or you want to preserve Indian education system? So, unless and until you are not sure that your educational systems are better and can impact the society, how can you build a nation or a Viksit or Vikashit Bharat? It's a hypocritical statement. So basically, our institutions are world class, like IITs, IIMs, but we have to think beyond IIMs. There are many institutions which are very good. In Pune, we have Gokhale Institute, many world class Bhandarkar institutes, Agarkar institutes. These are the institutes which are look forward. They have been the fulcrum of Indian civilization, and they can produce world class individuals. But we need to know how to preserve and retain our talents also. Now you see many foreign campuses are building their colleges in India. So is it a threat or a competition? I think they will lose out, because our system of education is different. Because you cannot sell Tesla in the way you are selling Tata Motors or something products or something like that. So every segment is different, and education wise, I think Indian education is far ahead of many universities. Thus, just that we need to be more confident in whatever we do.
Right. And usually, since we are talking a lot about Indian education here, um, it has said that education is a solution to poverty. But I'm sure the reality is little complex. So, do you think how education is contributing in breaking the generational poverty issues?
As an economist, I think the subject economics has grossly failed, because in the pursuit of right, left, center, in the pursuit of econometrics, in the pursuit of statistics, we have failed in providing a lasting solution in economics. Recently, I was reading about Abhijit Banerjee's research, who has been a Nobel Prize winner. But he has done a little bit of impactful work in developing models for poverty reduction. But we have to go far beyond. If you heard about Spivak, Gayatri Spivak, she's a professor in Columbia and a writer on subaltern studies with Ranajit Guha and all these things. They have worked, in rural villages, teaching there and all these things. We have to spread this message. We have to do it in a grand way. Okay, we have to provide subsidies, grants, social security. So because these are all having ripple effects. The three foundations: education, health, infrastructure. These three foundations, if that is not developed in a nation, other things will definitely fail. No other policies will work unless and until education reaches to the last house in the country.
As you highlighted already, that education and health and finance, these are the supporting factors to grow a nation. Do you think our system is enough for first generation learners?
See, system, we cannot say about development of a system or strategize a system, because we are still fighting with post-colonial thought process. I was telling about post-independence. We have come ahead from a stage when there was complete failure of the system. Like the infant mortality rate was very high. The mortality rate was very high. Yeah, at 32, 33 was the mortality rate. At 32, 33 people is to, that was the rate at which the mortality was calculated. Now it has rose to 90, 80. So we can say that we have developed, but we need to see at the bigger picture. we still we want to be an emerging nation, or we want to be a nation which is developed. To be a 2047 developed nation, there needs to be a proper strategy, a strategy targeted towards the bottom 80%. We had a white revolution, we had greener revolution, we had champions in various sectors, but it should be more radicalized and holistically developed. And the one person which can do it is the students. Unless and until the power is given in the hands of the students, every bureaucracy, every policy will fail.
Right.
I will talk about little bit about my book on disruptive leadership, which was released in Pune Book Fair recently. So give you one copy in the future. Like that in that book, I brought ahead a leadership which is more Indianized. Okay, we had good leaders. It's not that we didn't had good leaders. Buddha was born in India. Okay, can you imagine? So, but I myself, I have researched on Buddhism and many practices like Japan, China, Thailand, Myanmar, and all these things. They the message of Buddhism spread to those countries, right? So, are we giving the due credit to Lord Buddha? I don't think so, because afterwards there were invasions and all these things from Ashoka's time. If you read few books, you will see that the Nalanda culture also degraded. We had institutions like Nalanda, we had leaders like Buddha, which when people from abroad in US, in the West, and every country, they believe in Buddha and they practice more than us. Can you imagine? So we have to be more confident on what we have, and not blindly follow the West. We have to be more Indianized.
Absolutely. Each and every sentence, what you said, makes sense because we are slowly forgetting our roots and culture. Though we say that we are a cultural state or a country, but even after having so many traditions and cultures across the globe, we are somehow behind because we do not trust the facts where the history is coming from. Somebody says something about the history, somebody says anything else. The reason why we don't read properly. And now we just trust the content which we consume. And that is causing a lot of confusion, in today's youth. And they don't know where they're coming from, the strong history, especially the Gen Z people. They do not know anything about the history, and that's why, they don't feel proud what we do.
Right. I will again reiterate that the main problem is with the thought process. We have changed, but we have still the DNA of post-colonial, the colonialism thought process. The subaltern thought process. Many things we try to imitate. There is no need actually, because we are, if we are confident on what we have or what we want to do or impact the society around us, we can be a better nation and we can be Viksit today also. We need not be waiting for 2042 or 2047 to be a Viksit or a $1 trillion economy. If our thought process is a $1 trillion economy, we need not have policies. It can be random right now. It's very hypocritical somehow, sending your children to US, West, not only US, Western countries, when you are yourself not confident of your patriotism or nationalism. Unless and until you are confident on your education, your health system, your system, you want to do something greater, then everything will fall out. If you speak of many things, that will not work out. So I always tell my students that you need not be having MBA from IIM or MBA from any other great schools or something like that, or Ivy Leagues or something, but you be a good human being, because unless and until you become a very good human being, that is the only differentiating factor between a successful person in your life. Because when you die, who will cry? Who will cry when you die? You, if you can impact one individual, and every individual can impact one individual likewise, having a ripple effect, you just count that we will wipe out poverty from this nation. So the students should get that boost
Absolutely. Unity is
unity and the proper thought process, to impact the society. We shouldn't run behind money, we shouldn't run behind degrees, diplomas. We should run behind impacting the society around us. You just impact around, like I'm sitting here impacting around Ferguson Road or any other good places in Pune. Like, impacting like that, your region, you see how you impact the ripple effect. In few days, in few years, I think Pune will be, or any part of India will be fully developed.
right.
It's very simple baby steps, but it can be impactful.
Absolutely. So, we have talked about how the nation can be improved. We have also talked about the student mindset and the thoughts that what they need to work on. They need to develop reading mindset, and what you as professor or a leader contributing towards the nation. There's one question which is coming straight from my heart, which is not even in the script, because I come from a humble background. You also come from a humble background. I was a studious student like you, but I couldn't do PhD or any fancy degree at that point in time. I had to settle for a normal BSc degree from a government college because of financial issues what I had. And I still think that whatever I am doing today, I feel behind because of the issues of the fees. So I'm just trying to connect education to economy. Do you think the fee structure what colleges has today, it is contributing towards economy?
And I have very rightly asked question. Actually, it's a very very means uh, very valid actually. Uh, as a academician, I would say India is not doing that much justice. Okay, you are producing intellectuals who are a subject of brain drain. When they are at the bottom of the pyramid or the middle class, the social security structure or the educational policies are not aligned. But we are growing. We have to understand that we are not rich. We are basically a poor country. Okay, and we are who is trying to grow, and this growth is very slow. If you see the GDP numbers, it needs to more reflect on the marginalized. Okay, there should not be a high level of inequality. Okay, inequality between your neighbors, inequality between your hierarchy, it is not a very good sign. So also, if you see the data from the national NSS data or any other data, you will see the data is sometimes I am not very fond of this data. Okay, so it is reflecting on the middle class. So in the inflation rates and all these things, so many things in economics come into the picture when you are talking about educational policies which reflect on the, if you are talking about the fees. Okay, the private institutions, the inequality level is very high. If you go to one of the good private universities or something like that, tier 1, tier 2, the level of inequality is very high. So the subsidy or the social security system needs to be more strengthened, so that everybody gets us. And that's why I was talking about, I am against elite schools, like elite schools. I will not name elite schools, which have been a long time. People talk about these schools, they are the cultivators of the best. Then what about the rest? What we are doing for the all the people, the holistic way. So for me, when I go into the class, there is nobody who is A or B or C. I only say, I again reiterate that unless and until you become a very good human being, you fail as a student, you fail as an individual. So obviously you need studies. So obviously India has a lot of good institutions, a lot of foreign campuses are coming in. So I think don't pressurize your parents now that you would need a foreign degree or something, because frankly speaking, the for Western economic power is slowly degrading. It's not that good or healthy signs are there, which was 20 years before. So now India has a lot of choices. India has a lot of startup growth engines, successful unicorns. It's not only about doctor, engineer, or whatever economist or journalist. You can be also an entrepreneur or an edupreneur. You can start your own colleges and training centers and all these things. So welcome to the world of opportunities. That's it.
Absolutely. This is so motivating to hear that usually when even when a child is born in India, the career of that person is selected, that this he or she will become either a doctor or an engineer. We do not look at any other perspective, that this person, we will set them free and we will just allow them to choose as per whatever they want, because when a kid grow, then eventually they decide what they like and what they don't like. But if a degree is forced, if that you have to become a doctor or you have to become an engineer, then it becomes restriction for a person who can maybe do justice in other field but not able to perform well in engineering. Same thing happens when anybody who wants to do engineering, they are not able to get a seat because the price is high. So if you look closely, the people who are actually deserving to become an engineer are not able to become because of the fee structures, and the people who have the privileges, they are studying but they do not have interest, or maybe they are not using their degrees or privileges properly.
Yeah, rightly said. So we need to change that idea also. I was in Russia. I have been to different cities of Soviet Russia. You will be astonished to see the amount of development it had. Okay, in so Russian cities like Saint Petersburg, Moscow, Kazan, Vladivostok, and all these things. But it they had development at the cost of losing many people. Okay, so that socialistic bent cannot be supported, I think. But there are a lot of things to learn from Russia also. Okay, and their development, their thought process in education, like there many people doesn't know that chemistry, Pavlov, and all these things were Russians. Okay, so you bring in this knowledge to impact Indian society. That thought process is also needed. The manufacturing base in Russia or China or these things, you bring that, because multipolarism is happening. A lot of things is happening in Russia also. So you learn from those things. You bring in the knowledge to India and do your bit to impact around you. That is the best thing you can do. In that sense, you can also have ripple effect on fees, on whatever the education policies or all these things. In Russia, most of the institutions are public funded. Okay, so those are mostly free for the citizens. In Germany also, if you see, in Finland, Scandinavian countries, these things are happening. Many countries have their own strategy for charging fees for in national students. Okay, so you have to learn to imply all these things. You cannot just drag out resources from your students or citizens. Okay, because these students will grow and they will be policymakers for the nation. So you have to teach them the basics of 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 nationalism and patriotism.
Right. As you already mentioned about Russia, Finland, these type of universities are now taking charge in India. There are other global universities as well who are coming across in India and trying to give their culture to us. So, what do you think? How it is contributing? Is it good for us or it is bad for us?
No, we should. We have always been open to guests or foreign. We have been always been open to this world friendship. Okay, nothing wrong in bringing in foreign campuses. If your people are subject of brain drain, they can get that same education in India at the one fourth or one fifth cost. There's nothing. The exchange of knowledge. There are many IITs and IIMs who are stating their campuses in Middle East and Africa. So now Africa is a wonderful country. Okay, so I've had a lot of friends in Africa, like when I was in Dubai. So I know this African culture. They are also rising. Vietnam is rising. Singapore has been already a very good place to live. So you have to understand the changing dynamics globally. Okay, the multi polar dynamism, and unless and until you open your borders, it's good. Like, but I again come to that point of capitalism, wrong capitalism. What we are doing is what was wrong with the East India Company. They also came like this only, but we were very afraid at that time, and we couldn't change that policy, and we went into red tapes and bureaucratic. But we understood that we have to again open up. So 1991 was a very important time in the world order for India. So now it's the time of global thought process Indian way. Okay, so the main funda is that unless only wipe out this subaltern thought process, which is slowly killing Indian productivity, it will be detrimental. So this can only be done by bringing in good intellectual voice who can shape the future of students and youth.
So, if any student wants to study abroad, can you tell me 5 countries which they can
I
target?
would want them to study in India. That is the thing, because in my class also, I always instill in them that patriotism. Yeah, go. There is nothing wrong in going to US or Russia or Europe or whatever. But you should always have that sense of belonging. Come back to India. India is doing wonderful. It is one of the best place now. Economic stability, everything is going very properly in India right now. Though I'm not very fond of the data or the numbers, but you can always come and contribute in your way, and make your life in India. That is the best thing you can do, whether rather than going a pariah country, and you will always be a not a that sense will not always be there. So come back to India. That's it. Because I have myself come, but after 20 years in staying in abroad, I felt that I should do something impactful in India. So I still do research with US and Russian professors, but I do research with Indian mindset, Indian thought process, and to impact the world around us. I have published more than 200 papers. I have published more than 10 books, which 2 3 are bestsellers, and I am highly cited, one of the top 2% scientists counted in Russia also. So, but I contribute in my own way, in a small way. I try to impact, and I think that definitely everybody, if every intellectual who wants to contribute to the nation, can really impact the society.
Right. So, since we have come towards the end of the podcast, let's talk about policies. Policy sounds very strong on paper, but reality, of course, we all know is different. So, what do you think? What is the major aspect of education today we need to change?
Still, many books have and many things. I was seeing lastly some textbooks which were very colonialized. Like we need to actually teach and instill in our students those type of education only, which highlights India in not only as a post-independence or a country which was governed by a foreign nation, but we should also instill in our students the values, the ethos, the leadership, the traits which are more Indian. As I was talking about subaltern, I was talk. If you go through subaltern, it's a very shameful thing which happened to India post-independence. We were teaching and instilling in our students that flavor. That's why the brain drain happened. No, because we were teaching with a Western mindset. We didn't had our own theories. Still, we don't have a economic theory. We talk about Gandhi, we talk about Gokhale, we talk about Bhandarkar and all these things, but we don't have that theories in practice. We have Keynes, we have Hayek, and we have other economists, we have other foreign educationists, but which is relevant to Europe, okay, which is not relevant to Pune. Can you imagine wearing boots and Russian coats in Pune in summer time? Okay, how then educational theory we applied to Pune? It is totally different. So you have to take the good things, learn. You have to change your thought process, Indianize it, and then apply it to Pune. Then it will be successful, right? Otherwise, the same thing happened with big burgers, pizzas and all these things. What they did, they started bringing in, products which were Western. But they thought later that it's better to bring in tikka masala and all these things, and then it was working out here, right? So same thing with everything, like you cannot blindly follow people. That is has been our tradition. See, this tradition is coming from a subaltern, because we were ruled by, for 200 years by a foreign nation, and that nation that power has dragged everything, not only wealth, but psychologically deprived us in many ways. uh, Everything we take pride in being becoming a Western part of the society, but take pride in Shivaji, take pride in Netaji, take pride in the local flavors. I think that is more needed for the youth of the nation, rather than decorating Western leaders.
Absolutely, very well said. And I'm sure whoever will watch this podcast will now at least feel proud to be an Indian, because we just look at the outer perspective. We just look at things which we don't like, and we don't look at things which makes us really proud to be an Indian. So now let's talk about future. We have already discussed. We have come from a background how to choose career from a student perspective. As a leader, what they need to, what habits they need to inculcate, and now AI. This is something everybody is scared of it, and everybody already in the era where things are being replaced, employees, systems. What do you think? Are we preparing our students for AI? Are we making them AI ready, or we are just teaching them tools?
Both, frankly speaking. We are teaching them tools, and we are doing justice also in some way. But AI actually is it's a, I think, what to say, it's a boon. At the same time, it's a bubble also, I believe. If you see, in the global world order has gone through these bubbles a lot of time. Real estate bubble, there was the finance, then it was a real estate bust, then there was biotech bubble and all these things. So this is a wave which is coming, the AI wave. A lot of investments have been done at the corporate level, and a lot of things that AI will wipe out in the uh, employment. But I think that is not the thing which is to be seen. I think you should, like in universities abroad also, this is the thing which Indian academia also needs to instill. Like, you should utilize ethical AI for in the classroom. Like, you don't say that don't use chat gpt, don't say that you don't use generative AI. Okay, use chat gpt in a productive way which will help you in your studies. Okay, don't denigrate technology. Learn from technology, adapt to technology, but have that habit of reading books. I will again say, have that habit of reading books, have that habit of Kindle also, but differentiate which is better. Reading books will give you many functionaries which will be helpful in your character building, rather than this fast moving world. Okay, differentiate and try to be minimalistic. In Buddhism also, in practice of Buddha also, you will see that the minimum, how to be happy with minimal things. Okay, try to live without many things. It's sometimes better to have not something. Like, many people think that I'm not getting this thing, I'm very unhappy. That person has a BMW, I don't have a, I want to have a big. It's sometimes good to have not a BMW. Be happy in a smaller world, because that gives a different type of feeling. Okay, and that feeling of achievement should be more impactful, which should be impacting the society around you, rather than personal gratification. Uh, in my tenure as B school professors, deans, directors, I rose from assistant professor. So in abroad I was assistant professor, then I became dean, director. So I have been in advisory council for many government bodies also. So I have seen that people try to think that is uh, power is needed, seat is needed. It's better to don't have a seat and then impact the society. So minimalistic life is more good, I think. in this chaotic scenario when digital transformation is going into every sphere of your life. So as you were talking about 26th January, it's very important because the European nations are coming this time. So you can very well see the changing dynamics. Europe is nowadays getting, into this powerhouse and all these things. So, in this chaotic world, it is better to leave behind few things and, like that.
Right. My father always used to say that education is the biggest luxury you can have. When we are in our teenage, we always used to compare that this person has a BMW or this person is doing very well. They have a fancy degree, spending lakhs of money. So, yeah, this is a great learning for the students.
That's why I think I have very good relationship with senior people, with fathers and mothers. I make very good friendship with them, just as I make with my friends. If you see my social media, I have very well connected with students. Like, I wherever I go, I think that they are the fulcrum of the state. So it's better to be with them rather than be on the more aspirational side of monetary benefits or something like that. Whenever I have been into institutions, I have always said that I want to impact the society rather than getting gratification, because I believe in that type of era when Master Moshai and this Guru Shishya was a parampara. If you see in the Nalanda also, Huen Sang, this Buddha also preached this. Their disciples and all these things, the bhikkhus and all these things. So these are the things we need to inculcate on this 26th January, I think.
Right.
Minimalistic living.
Yes, absolutely. And you have given a lot of insights today in this particular podcast to the students, to the educationalists, and to the leaders who are deans, professors, and they are, you know, at certain positions that they need to be humble and grounded, yet they can still be a leader. That was the learning which I got from you. For a student, what skills do you think will never die despite of the industry?
Honesty and integrity. I, as a individual, I don't boast, but I am very honest, and I always try to instill in my students this flavor of honesty. Okay, because there are many choices in this world which will come to you. Okay, a choice which is very easy, very random, but try to always not only from the heart but also from the brain, take two things together when you decide on things, and always be honest and work on integrity, because there are, I still believe in Buddha's saying. Actually, I'm a disciple of Buddha. I myself believe in Buddhism, actually practice also. So there are many sayings. One of the very good sayings of Buddha is that the three things cannot be hidden in the world: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Okay, so always believe in that, and believe that good will happen. Be positive in your actions, and just follow your aspirations. I think that will be enough to be a successful person. Degrees and diplomas are only, these are things which are with you to fuel your career, but I always say that be a good human being.
Right. And before we end this beautiful conversation with you, one last question. We have talked about student mindset, but we have not discussed about parents. What one mistake do you think parents make while guiding their students?
Again, the same thing. Be honest with your children. Don't put that thing on them. You have led your life. You have been a different part of the India, but different time of India. Now things are different. You let them choose, let them be directional, not be directional, let be them choose their own goals. A photographer can also always be a successful person. I'll instill in them the values, Indian values, ethos. And I wanted to also say something for the academicians in India, is that don't follow blindly foreign theories and policies. I have been a global educationist, and international practitioner and contributor. I have seen that Indian academicians, they are research crazy. They want to imitate foreign people. Things are different there. You cannot one size doesn't fit everyone. Okay, you have to understand that. So you have to do your bit by again saying that you have to be impactful, deal with your students in a proper way. In that way you need to contribute. And there are many good intellectuals who are doing wonderful work here. Debate, put that culture into practice among yourself and among students, and put forward a practice of discussing and in the class, cases, case studies, and all these things. I think it's more beneficial than blind theories copied from foreign books, okay, textbooks. We have wonderful professors, but we don't have uh, wonderful Indian theories. So I think in 26th January we should have that flavor, that to build on this Indianized nation and of a Vikshit Bharat.
Right. So, this has been a very grounded and beautiful conversation with you, Dr. Ray. And I'm saying this all from my heart because I also come from an education background and I know how hard or tough it is for students to choose the best for their career, and for academicians and for educationalists or the professors to give the best to the students. So, you have balanced both and you have given the insights to the students as well as to the professors and the dean or the leaders. I'm sure this podcast is going to give a lot of information and knowledge to the people. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you
all the
very much.
knowledge
Thank you very much.
today.
Thanks a lot.